The clock on the stove blinks 3:47 p.m. 17 minutes later than I promised I'd leave. The scent of buttercream still hangs in the kitchen, and I'm juggling 2 trays of deviled eggs while trying to tape the lid on Clara's gift box. My hands shake just enough to make the ribbon slip. Typical. Clara's parties run like military operations, and any delay is an act of war. I grab my purse, balancing the dishes like a tightrope walker as I hurry down the steps to the car. The autumn air hits sharp against my face. My hair sticks to the lip gloss I threw on in a panic. The passenger seat is already a mosaic of tissue paper and last-minute wrapping. Proof that I'm always too much and never enough. The drive should take 20 minutes, but traffic has other ideas. I can already picture Clara's look when I walk in late. That polished smile with no warmth behind it. The kind she saves for people she's decided not to forgive. She'll greet me like a stranger, her voice dripping with honey that tastes like venom. "Elaine," she'll say, "how lovely of you to finally join us." I grip the steering wheel tighter and push the thought away. The air conditioning hums against my anxiety. I keep glancing at the clock on the dash. Every minute feels like a judgment. Just past the old overpass, I spot him. A man standing beside a faded blue sedan, hood open, hazard lights winking like dying fireflies. He waves one arm in the air, the other braced on the car door. His shirt is stained, face flushed. He looks desperate. For a second, I pretend I didn't see him. My brain starts calculating. If I stop, that's 10, maybe 15 minutes gone. I can already hear Clara's voice in my head. She'll never let me live it down. But then I picture my father, the way he used to pull over for everyone. Jump starts, flat tires, lost tourists. "If you can help, you help," he'd said once, handing a stranger his spare tire without a second thought. The words come out of me before I realize I've spoken. Kindness first. I ease onto the shoulder. Gravel crunches under the tires. My heart is racing, and I hate that I'm nervous. Like kindness itself has become a dangerous decision. I check the mirror. Cars rush past in blurs of red and silver. The man lowers his arm when he sees me. I roll down the window a few inches. "You okay?" He leans toward me, sweat darkening his collar. "Car won't start. Been here an hour." No signal. His voice has a rough edge, not threatening, just worn. He looks maybe late 30s, early 40s, with tired eyes that suggest he's had a long week. "Pop the hood again," I say, climbing out before I can talk myself out of it. The smell of hot metal hits the air. He explains that the engine just died mid-drive. I don't really understand what I'm looking at, but I nod like I do, scanning for jumper cables in my trunk. The wind tosses my hair across my face. "I can call roadside for you," I offer. He shakes his head. "No signal out here, remember?" He gives a weak smile, and for a second I think he's younger than he looked before. There's a flicker of gratitude in his eyes, or something close to it. When I finally find the cables, he reaches to take them from me. Our fingers brush. I feel that odd jolt you get when a stranger's energy collides with your own, the kind that makes you want to pull away and stay at once. We get the connection wrong twice before the engine finally coughs back to life. He exhales hard, laughing under his breath. "Didn't think you'd stop," he says. I shrug, trying to sound casual. "Most people wouldn't." He looks at me a beat too long. "Then I guess I got lucky." I don't know why that line lingers. Maybe it's the way he says it. Not flirtatious, just honest, almost solemn. I start to back toward my car, already rehearsing my apology to Clara. But when I glance at him again, his expression has changed. Eyes narrowed, something unreadable behind them. That's when I notice the passenger door of his car is slightly open, and there's a child's backpack on the seat. I freeze. One hand on my door handle, pulse drumming in my ears. For a second, I can't move. The backpack on the passenger seat feels like a spotlight pinning me in place. I open my mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. The man follows my gaze, then exhales through his nose like he's remembering something too heavy to carry. "It's my daughter's," he says quietly. "She's with her mother now." His voice wavers, and when I look closer, I notice how pale he's gotten. Not the tired pallor of someone stuck in traffic too long. This is chalk white, sweat tracing lines down his temples. His hand clutches the edge of the car door as though gravity itself has turned against him. "You don't look okay," I say, stepping closer. "Do you need—" "I'm fine," he interrupts, but his knees buckle halfway through the word. I lunge forward, just managing to catch his shoulder before he hits the gravel. The jumper cables slide from his fingers, clattering at our feet. He's heavier than he looks, but I manage to ease him to the ground, propping him against the car's fender. The crisp fabric under my hands surprises me. An expensive suit, the kind you see in boardrooms, not beside broken-down sedans. The shirt collar is stiff with sweat, and when I loosen his tie, I see the tremor running through his chest. "You're not fine," I say, kneeling beside him. My pulse is hammering so hard it feels like it's echoing off the asphalt. "Stay still. I'm calling 911. He doesn't protest this time. His head tilts back, eyes fluttering open and shut like he's fighting sleep. "Most people," he murmurs, breath shallow, "would have just driven by." I press my phone to my ear, the dispatcher's voice faint beneath the roar of passing cars. I give the mile marker, my voice breaking when she asks if he's breathing. "Yes," I say quickly, but not well. I don't mention that his skin has gone the color of unpolished marble. "Help's on the way," I tell him, sliding my coat under his head. "Stay with me, all right?" He tries to nod but winces. My chest feels like a clamp. "Try slow breaths," I say, pressing my hand over his trembling one. His skin is icy. I focus on the warmth of my own palm as if I can will some of it into him. "You're going to be okay. Just keep looking at me." The wind picks up, whipping exhaust fumes into the air. I can taste metal on my tongue. The world around us narrows to the steady tick of hazard lights and the faint rasp of his breathing. "Tell me your name," I ask, more to keep him awake than anything. He manages a half smile. "Why?" "So the paramedics know who you are." "Names are complicated," he whispers. His gaze drifts toward the backpack, then back to me. "Just thank you for stopping." Sirens slice through the distance, thin at first, then swelling until they fill the air. Relief hits me so hard it almost knocks me over. A fire truck pulls up behind us, lights bouncing across the guardrail, followed by an ambulance. 2 EMTs rush forward, and I step back, suddenly aware of how small I feel beside all that red and white urgency. They work quickly. Oxygen mask, monitor pads, a stretcher unfolding with a metallic snap. I hear words like arrhythmia and nitro, words that sound too sharp, too final. He's fading, eyelids drooping, when one of them lifts his arm to secure an IV. That's when he grips my wrist with surprising strength. His eyes open wide, fierce, lucid. "Tell me your name," he rasps. "Elaine," I manage. "Elaine Porter." He holds my gaze a moment longer, then lets go. The EMTs lift him into the ambulance, doors slamming shut in a blur of light and motion. And then they're gone. Sirens dwindling into the distance, leaving the hum of traffic and the soft click of my cooling engine. I stand there, my coat abandoned on the roadside, jumper cables still coiled like snakes at my feet. When I finally climb back into my car, the clock reads 4:38. I'm beyond late. The deviled eggs are ruined, the frosting has slid off the cake, and my hands smell faintly of engine oil and fear. I pull onto the highway, heart still thudding. The skies turned bruised purple, and my reflection in the window looks like someone I don't fully recognize. Someone who just watched a stranger nearly die. Someone who feels a thread of connection she can't explain. Halfway to Clara's neighborhood, my phone buzzes. A blocked number. For a moment, I think it's the hospital calling for more information, but when I answer, there's only silence. Then a man's voice, low and strained. Elaine Porter? The line clicks dead, and I realize I never told him my last name. By the time I reach Clara's estate, the sun has surrendered to dusk. The long drive curves through iron gates that gleam beneath string lights. Every bulb a reminder of how late I am. The clock on the dashboard reads 5:58, 2 hours late. My palms are still sticky from adrenaline and fear, but there's no time to clean up. The party music drifts toward me, elegant jazz, laughter that feels choreographed. I park behind a row of polished SUVs, the kind that look like they've never seen a speck of dust. My hatchback hums to a stop like an apology. I glance at the deviled eggs on the passenger seat, congealed, ruined, and shove them under my coat. No one will eat them, but showing up empty-handed feels worse. As I walk up the steps, I can already hear Clara's voice spilling through the open French doors, loud enough for everyone to hear. That carefully honed charm, that laugh she uses to let the world know she's winning. Inside, the light is blinding. Gold chandeliers, marble floors, a buffet so pristine it might have been arranged by angels. Clara's friends circle her like satellites. Every head turns when I step in. My heels click once, twice, then hesitate. Elaine! Clara's voice slices through the room like crystal breaking. She's immaculate, of course. Cream dress, pearls, a drink she doesn't seem to sip. How considerate of you to join. The laughter that follows isn't cruel enough to be called mocking, but it lands just the same. My throat tightens. I try to speak, to say I'm sorry. Something happened, but the words die before they form. Every excuse sounds small in my head. Clara tilts her head, smiling sweetly. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten, but then again, punctuality was never your strong suit. My cheeks burn. Conversations resume around us, but I can feel the glances, curious, judgmental, pitying. Michael stands near the bar, glass in hand. When he sees me, his face softens. He crosses the room quickly, placing a hand on my arm. Hey, he murmurs. You made it. I nod, my throat too tight to answer. His hand squeezes mine, gentle, grounding, but he doesn't say anything to Clara. Doesn't call her out, doesn't defend me. Just that quiet, careful pressure of fingers that says, let it go. Clara turns back to her audience, her tone light and venomous. Some people can't respect time, she says, pouring herself another drink. But I suppose we all have our limits. The room chuckles. My stomach twists. I stare down at the tray I brought, the eggs sliding on their plate. My reflection wavers in the polished silver. I feel ridiculous. Messy hair, smudged lipstick, a paper towel still tucked under one dish to stop it from leaking. I could explain. I could say a man almost died and that I held his hand while sirens screamed. But I don't. Because in this room, that story would sound like a lie. Or worse, a plea for sympathy. So I smile. A tight, fragile thing that costs more than it's worth. I'll just set this in the kitchen, I whisper, slipping past the eyes that follow me. Inside, the caterer gives me a polite nod before returning to her work. I place the tray among the untouched canapes and grip the counter until my knuckles go white. My heartbeat hasn't slowed since the highway. When I finally return to the living room, Michael's talking to someone near the window. Clara's laughter peals again, sharp, deliberate. I realize I don't belong here anymore, if I ever did. I murmur a quick goodbye to no one in particular, step outside, and let the cold air slap my skin. the silence feels merciful. In the car, I rest my forehead against the steering wheel. The smell of smoke and rubber still lingers, a ghost from earlier. My phone lies on the seat beside me, screen black. I think about the voice that said my name, about the man's grip on my wrist, his eyes gone wide with urgency. And then, as I start the engine, the phone lights up again. Another blocked number. This time it doesn't ring, just a single text. You shouldn't have left. 3 days pass before my phone rings again. I nearly drop a mug when it happens. The sound cuts through the morning quiet like a blade, the kind of shrill tone that doesn't belong in a peaceful kitchen. I've been trying to reclaim some sense of normal. Scrubbing countertops, doing laundry, pretending the world hasn't shifted. But every time my phone lights up, a shadow flickers in my chest. The display reads, "Unknown number." I consider letting it go to voicemail. I even set the mug down and walk away. But something keeps me rooted. A thread of unfinished business. Hello? My voice sounds cautious, smaller than usual. There's a pause. Then a man's voice. Calm, professional. Ms. Porter? Yes? Mr. Hale would like to see you. The name means nothing to me. I'm sorry. Who? Another pause, as if he's surprised I don't already know. Mr. Victor Hale, the man you helped on the highway. The words land like a jolt. For a heartbeat, I hear again the rasp in his breathing, the ambulance doors slamming shut. He's okay? He's recovering, the man says. He insists on meeting you personally. If you're available, his driver can collect you this afternoon. I should say no. It's the rational choice. But curiosity edges out caution. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe the need to see proof that he's alive. All right, I hear myself say. Text me the address. By 2 o'clock, a black sedan idles outside my building. The driver, tall and composed in a gray suit, opens the rear door without a word. The interior smells faintly of leather and cedar, money's scent, the kind that lingers in spaces untouched by everyday life. We leave the city and glide into rolling hills I've only seen on real estate flyers. Every mile makes the air cleaner, the houses larger, until we turn through wrought iron gates that swing open soundlessly. Victor Hale's estate isn't a house. It's a statement. A mansion built of glass and stone that reflects the clouds like it owns them. The driveway could fit 10 of my apartment buildings. When I step out, I'm hit by the hush of manicured perfection. No birds, no city noise, just the whisper of wind through tall pines. The front doors open before I can knock. A woman in black greets me with a nod. He's been waiting. The hallway stretches wide enough to feel like a museum. Marble floors, walls lined with abstract art. My shoes squeak faintly, an unwelcome sound in all that wealth. At the far end, sunlight pours through a glass wall overlooking the valley. A man sits near it, a blanket over his lap. Even from behind, I recognize the slope of his shoulders. Mr. Hale? I say quietly. He turns, and for a moment I don't recognize him. The gray in his hair looks deliberate now, his face less drawn. The same eyes, though, pale blue, sharp, alive. Elaine, he says, smiling, you saved my life. I take a breath, unsure what to do with the weight of that gratitude. You look better. I am. His voice is steady, stronger than before. The doctors say if you hadn't stopped, I wouldn't be sitting here. He gestures to a chair across from him. Please. I sit, hands clasped in my lap. The room smells faintly of citrus and something medicinal. I didn't do much, I murmur. He chuckles. That's modesty talking. You did everything. His gaze softens. May I ask, why did you stop? The question catches me off guard. I don't know, I admit. It just felt wrong not to. He nods, like he's confirming something to himself. That's rare. Most people pass by suffering unless it inconveniences them. He studies me a moment longer. I wanted to thank you properly. Before I can respond, a woman enters. A nurse, maybe, carrying a tray of tea. She places it beside him and disappears as quietly as she came. I owe you a debt, he continues. And I don't take debts lightly. You don't owe me anything, I say. He smiles again, but it's different now. Measured, calculating. Humor me. I like to know the people who change my trajectory. I read about you. The words stop me cold. Read about me? He lifts a tablet from the table, taps the screen. My name flashes across a news snippet. Local coverage of Clara's charity event. A photo of me in the background, awkward and half smiling. He slides it aside. You looked uncomfortable there. I can't find my voice. How did you? I have resources, he says simply. And I recognize loneliness when I see it. The air thickens between us. Outside, clouds gather, dimming the sunlight. I just wanted to thank you, I manage. That's all. I rise to leave. Elaine, he says, and the warmth drains from his tone. If a stranger saves your life, do you really think it's chance? Something in his eyes glints, not menace exactly, but possession. I force a small smile. Take care of yourself, Mr. Hale. As I walk back through the marble corridor, I feel his gaze following me. The driver opens the door, waiting. When the car pulls away, I finally breathe again, until I glance out the rear window. Victor Hale is standing at the glass wall watching, and even from that distance I can see his lips move. He's saying my name. The next time Victor Hale calls, I tell myself I'll say no. I even practice it aloud. Polite, firm, final. But when the driver arrives again, black sedan gleaming in the sun, I find myself stepping inside. This time, the drive feels shorter, as if the distance between our worlds has quietly shrunk. The same gates open, the same immaculate hush greets me. But something in the air feels different, charged, deliberate. He's waiting in the same glass room, sunlight pouring over him like he belongs to it. The blanket is gone from his lap. He stands when I enter, moving slower than most men his age, but with deliberate grace. Elaine, he says warmly, you came back. I wasn't sure I should. Of course you should. He gestures toward a small table set for two. I promised tea the last time. I hate unfinished promises. I sit, though my instincts whisper that this isn't about tea. His eyes are bright, alive with the kind of energy that feels less like gratitude and more like possession. You didn't tell me who you really are, I say quietly. He smiles, a flash of amusement passing across his face. And who do you think I am? I Googled you. His laughter fills the room, genuine and rich. Then you already know I'm just another greedy capitalist, depending on which article you read. He leans forward, lowering his voice. But I'm more than that, Elaine. I've built an empire, real estate, tech, media. I could disappear tomorrow and the world would still use something I created. I don't know what to say. The man I found half collapsed on a roadside suddenly seems galaxies away from the one sitting across from me. He studies me, eyes searching. Do you know what struck me most? When you pulled over? I shake my head. That no one else did. Hundreds of cars. Not one stopped. Until you. His voice softens, almost reverent. You didn't ask who I was. You didn't care. You just helped. I'd like to think anyone would have. They wouldn't. He interrupts gently. They didn't. He pours the tea, steam curling between us. So I've decided to repay that kindness. My pulse quickens. You don't need to repay anything. I insist. He slides an envelope across the table. A token of appreciation. I don't touch it. Mr. Hale, I didn't do it for money. He smiles. The same patient, knowing smile from before. That's exactly why I trust you. I open the envelope despite myself. Inside is a check with more zeros than I can immediately process. My name written in perfect cursive. This is... No, I can't accept this. You can, he says softly. And you will. Consider it an investment in someone who still remembers what humanity looks like. An investment? He sits back, folding his hands. Money only means something when it moves. I'd like to move some of mine toward someone who's proven worthy of it. I look up, startled. Worthy? You have integrity. You stopped when no one else did. That matters to me. He nods toward the far door. Let me introduce you to someone. A man enters. A lawyer, by the look of him. Slim, silver-haired, briefcase in hand. Miss Porter? He greets with a practiced smile. I'm Nathan Kell. Mr. Hale has asked me to handle a few details. Details? I echo. Victor rises slowly, using the edge of the table for balance. I'm setting up a foundation. Something meaningful. I'd like you to be part of it. I blink, unsure if I misheard. Why me? Because, he says simply, I don't trust most people, but I trust you. Nathan places a folder on the table, but Victor stops him with a hand. Not now. Let her think about it. He turns to me again, his voice dropping lower. Take the check, use it however you need, and when you're ready, we'll talk about the future. My throat feels tight. I don't even know what you're asking. Not asking, he says, smiling faintly. Inviting. Outside, thunder murmurs across the hills. The light shifts, sliding across the glass walls like dark water. He steps closer, his hand hovering near my shoulder but not touching. The world rarely rewards decency, Elaine. Let me be the exception. I leave with the envelope still in my hand, the weight of it strange and electric. The rain starts before I reach the car. Soft at first, then harder. Each drop like a question I can't yet answer. When the driver opens my door, I glance back at the house. Victor stands in the doorway, that same half-smile cutting through the storm. He lifts his hand in a slow, deliberate wave, and for the first time, I'm not sure if I saved him or if he started saving me. The news spreads faster than smoke. I don't know how Clara finds out. Maybe someone saw the sedan at my building, or maybe gossip just has a way of sniffing out discomfort. Either way, by Friday night, the stories made it to her table. Her dining room is all gleam and excess, the kind of place where napkins are linen and laughter always sounds rehearsed. We're halfway through a dinner I didn't want to attend, the kind I used to endure because Michael insisted we keep peace. Tonight, I'm realizing peace with Clara means silence. She lifts her wine glass, her smile glittering under the chandelier. I heard an interesting story today, she says, voice pitched high enough for everyone to hear. Apparently, our dear Elaine has made quite the new acquaintance. Forks pause. Someone chuckles softly. I glance at Michael, who gives me a subtle warning look. Don't engage. Clara leans back, savoring her moment. A certain Mr. Hale, you might have heard of him? Victor Hale? Owns half the city, or close enough. A few heads nod. One guest murmurs something about the Hale Foundation, another about his real estate empire. Clara's grin widens. And imagine my surprise, she continues, when someone mentioned seeing Elaine being chauffeured through his gates. The table hums with interest. Champagne bubbles rise like punctuation marks between sentences that don't need finishing. I can feel heat creeping up my neck. It's not what you think, I say quietly. Oh? Clara tilts her head, mock sympathy dripping from every syllable. Then what is it, dear? A charity visit? Or something more personal? Laughter ripples. Even her husband lets out a small, nervous chuckle. Michael clears his throat. Clara, enough. She waves a manicured hand. Oh, come on, Michael, we're just teasing. It's not every day our Elaine catches the eye of a man like Victor Hale. A man like that doesn't hand out favors for nothing. My stomach knots. I stare at my plate. Salmon gone cold, asparagus untouched. The check still sits in my dresser drawer at home, its weight haunting me even when it's out of sight. Clara's voice keeps going, each word a needle. Maybe I underestimated you, Elaine. You've found yourself a wealthy friend. Her friends laugh behind their glasses, trying to hide it, but the sound is clear. Michael shifts beside me. That's enough, he says more firmly this time. It's not funny. Relax, Clara says, leaning back. I'm only curious. After all, none of us have ever been invited to Mr. Hale's estate. It must take something special. The implication hangs heavy in the air, unspoken but understood. I push my chair back. Excuse me? The room stills as I stand. Clara smirks. That small triumphant curve of her lips that says she's gotten exactly what she wanted. In the powder room, I lock the door and grip the marble sink. My reflection looks different in her mirror. Harder. Older. The overhead light hums. I think about Victor's words. About trust and worthiness and the way his gaze lingered too long. My phone buzzes in my purse. Unknown number. Again. I ignore it. When I come back out, the table's cleared of tension, replaced by polite chatter about wine pairings and golf courses. Clara barely glances at me. The rest of the evening crawls by. Michael drives us home in silence. The streetlights flash across his face, carving lines I hadn't noticed before. He finally speaks as we pull into the driveway. What's going on, Elaine? I stare ahead at the porch light, flickering slightly. Nothing. He turns to me. Clara said people saw you at Hale's estate. I went there. Once. Twice, actually. He exhales through his nose. Why? Because I helped him. The man on the highway. It was him. Michael blinks. The one who collapsed? Yes. He studies me, his voice quieter now. And now he's what? Your friend? I shake my head. Just someone I helped. Nothing more. The lie comes too easily. Michael nods slowly, though I can tell he doesn't believe me. Clara's cruel, but she's not wrong about one thing. Men like that don't do favors for free. I want to argue, to defend myself, but I can't. Because even I don't know what Victor's intentions are anymore. Later, when Michael's asleep, I sit in the dark living room, the faint hum of the refrigerator filling the silence. My phone rests on the coffee table, the screen black. I know it's only a matter of time before it rings again. And when it does, when that number flashes across the screen, I already know I'll answer. The next time Victor calls, he doesn't send the driver. He calls himself. Lunch, he says simply. No business talk. Just company. His tone is casual, but I hear something else underneath. The kind of insistence that makes refusal feel impolite. So I say yes. When I arrive, the house feels softer somehow. The air smells faintly of lemon and cedar polish. The nurse from before greets me with a polite smile and disappears down a hallway. Victor meets me in a sunroom overlooking a wide stretch of garden. The winter light catches the silver in his hair. There's a table set with china, a single vase of tulips, and a quiet jazz record spinning somewhere out of sight. I hope you're hungry, he says, pouring iced tea into 2 tall glasses. I smile, a little hesitant. Depends. Are you one of those health-obsessed billionaires? He laughs, genuinely this time. Guilty. But I had the chef make something normal. Chicken salad, rolls, nothing intimidating. I sit, and for a while, we just eat. No talk of checks or foundations or debts. The silence feels almost natural, like we've done this before. Then he leans back and studies me. Tell me something about yourself, he says. Not the polite version. I glance at him, unsure how to start. There's not much to tell. There's always much to tell, he says. You just need the right audience. His words disarm me more than I expect. Well, I begin slowly. I was married. Robert? He died 6 years ago, heart failure, quick, unfair. Since then, it's been quieter. I read a lot. I teach at the community center sometimes. Nothing exciting. He nods thoughtfully. You never chased status? Money? All those things the world swears matter? I shake my head. I thought love was the point. For a moment, the only sound is the clink of glass against the table. His eyes soften in a way that makes me uneasy. Not predatory, just searching. Your modesty, he says finally. It's foreign to me. Everyone I meet wants something. A contract, a favor, a door opened. You just stop to help. That doesn't make me special, I say. It does, he replies quietly. You'd be amazed how rare decency has become. He looks away, out the glass wall to the gardens below. I built everything you see by trusting no one. Everyone's got a price. I used to think that was the only way to survive. He pauses, his voice dropping lower. Until you. I don't know what to say. Gratitude sounds wrong. Disbelief sounds ungrateful. Victor. He lifts a hand, stopping me. Let me finish. I don't need your pity, Elaine. I need your presence. Your honesty. The word hangs there, too intimate and too formal all at once. He smiles faintly, sensing my discomfort. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. It's just refreshing. Having someone around who doesn't want something. Something in his tone cracks open a small space inside me, a warmth I hadn't realized I'd missed. Conversation. Being seen without being judged. We talk for nearly 2 hours about books, old movies, things that make the world feel human again. I tell him about a novel I can't finish. He admits he hasn't read fiction in decades. Reality is messy enough, he says, but his eyes soften when he listens. By the time I stand to leave, the sky has turned a soft gold. He walks me to the door despite the nurse's protests. Thank you, he says quietly, for giving me an afternoon that didn't feel like an obligation. I smile. That's all it was. Lunch. He holds my gaze a moment too long. No, it was more than that. As I drive away, my chest feels lighter, fuller, a feeling dangerously close to comfort. But by the time I reach home, the warmth has cooled to worry. Clara's voice echoes in my mind, dripping with that knowing sweetness. A man like that doesn't hand out favors for nothing. I glance in my rearview mirror. The black sedan that brought me isn't behind me, but a dark car is, and it's been following me since I left the estate. Clara's parties always have themes. This one is Old Hollywood, which feels fitting because everything about her life is theater. I promised Michael I'd go, if only to prove I wasn't hiding, but as soon as I walk through the doors of the country club, I regret it. The chandelier light hits every flaw I thought I'd concealed. The faint circles under my eyes, the tension sitting just beneath my smile. Everyone else glitters, sequins, satin, champagne laughter. I look like a sketch someone forgot to finish. Michael is across the room, deep in conversation with a client. He spots me, offers a strained smile but doesn't cross the distance between us. Clara does. She moves like she owns gravity, every head turning slightly as she approaches. Her gown is scarlet, deliberate. Elaine, she says, too brightly. You made it. I was afraid you'd be too busy. Social climbing. I feel the sting before the words fully register. Several people nearby stop talking. The air sharpens. Clara, I manage evenly. Good to see you too. Her smile tightens. I just think it's inspiring. Not everyone lands a millionaire's attention at our age. There it is. The unspoken rumor, now given oxygen. I'm sure I don't know what you mean, I say. Oh, don't play coy, she purrs, leaning closer, voice carrying across the small crowd gathering like moths. Everyone's heard, the mysterious Mr. Hale, all those visits. Tell me, Elaine, is it charity work or something a little more personal? A murmur ripples through the guests. Someone sets down a glass too hard. I glance toward Michael. His expression is unreadable. Embarrassed, maybe, but frozen. Stop, he says quietly, almost to himself. Clara laughs, a brittle, theatrical sound. Come on, I'm just teasing. Though honestly, I can't blame you. If I had the chance, I might cozy up to a man with that kind of fortune too. Poor Michael, though. Must be humiliating, having your wife chasing money in broad daylight. The room gasps. My chest tightens. I feel the edges of the moment sharpening. Humiliation, anger, something like shame even though I've done nothing wrong. I could lash out. I could remind them I saved a man's life. That I'm the reason Victor Hale is breathing. Instead, I straighten my shoulders. My voice, when it comes, is steady. I didn't chase anyone. I stopped to help someone who was dying. That's all. The silence that follows is heavy enough to bend the air. Clara blinks, her poise flickering for just a second. Then she recovers, lips curling. You always make yourself the victim, Elaine. It's exhausting. Something in me breaks. Not loudly, not visibly, just a clean, internal snap that frees whatever was left of my need to belong here. I hope the performance was worth it, I say softly. You've always loved an audience. Then I turn and walk out. The cold night air hits me like truth. Crisp, real, cutting through the artificial perfume of the ballroom. I hear Michael call my name once, but I don't stop. My heels echo down the marble steps, fading into the gravel of the parking lot. For the first time in months, maybe years, I feel calm. Empty, but calm. The drive home is quiet. The road glows in the headlights, lonely and clean. When I reach the house, I kick off my shoes, pour a glass of water, and sit in the dark living room. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Again. I almost don't answer, but something in me knows who it is before I even lift it. Elaine. Victor's voice comes through, low, smooth, unhurried. I heard what happened. My pulse quickens. How could you possibly? People talk, he says simply. You stood with grace tonight. I'm proud of you. His words wrap around me like a cloak I didn't know I needed. I didn't do it for pride, I say quietly. I know, he replies. That's why it matters. Don't let their smallness define you. They envy your dignity. You don't owe them anything. I want to tell him he's wrong, that I do owe something. To Michael, to normalcy, to the life I've been trying to protect. But the truth is, I don't feel small anymore, not under Victor's voice, not in the echo of Clara's cruelty. Get some rest, he adds softly. You're stronger than you realize. The line clicks off. I sit there, phone still pressed to my ear, heart unsteady. Outside, a car passes slowly, headlights sweeping across the window like a question I can't quite face. For the first time, I wonder if Victor isn't just watching over me. Maybe he's watching me. The call comes just after dawn. I'm half awake, the sky outside a pale smear of gray. Ms. Porter? The voice is clipped, urgent. This is Nathan Kell, Mr. Hale's attorney. I'm afraid Mr. Hale's been admitted to St. Albans. He's asked for you. For me. Not his family, not his board, not anyone else. Me. I dress on autopilot, jeans, sweater, no makeup. My hands shake as I drive. The hospital rises like a gray monolith, sterile and humming. Nurses move briskly, eyes focused elsewhere. When I give my name at the front desk, the receptionist's expression shifts. Recognition, faint curiosity. She leads me to the private wing. The moment I step inside, the smell hits me. Antiseptic and money. Even sickness feels curated here. Victor looks smaller in the bed, paler, oxygen tubes tracing delicate paths along his cheeks. But his eyes, they're the same. Sharp, unsettlingly alert. Elaine, he breathes, voice thin but steady. You came. Of course I came, I say, trying to smile. You scared everyone. He manages a faint chuckle that turns into a cough. Nathan Kell stands near the window, briefcase in hand, like a shadow made of etiquette. Victor waves him closer. Let's get this done, he says. Victor, I start. You should rest. I've done enough resting. His hand trembles slightly as he gestures toward me. Nathan, make sure she understands what we discussed. Nathan clears his throat, professional and rehearsed. Mr. Hale has expressed the desire to amend his will. He's asked that a portion of his estate, specifically his literary foundation and adjoining property, be placed in Ms. Porter's name. I blink, certain I've misheard. What? No. That's... Victor, I can't accept that. He smiles faintly. You already have. I barely know you, I say, voice rising. This isn't right. He turns his head toward me, the heart monitor keeping time with his silence. I know enough. You cared when no one else did. Victor. He cuts me off, his tone quiet but resolute. Elaine, I've been surrounded by people for decades. Investors, politicians, opportunists. They all want something. You wanted nothing. You stopped your life to help mine. That means something. It has to. Nathan scribbles a note, watching us from the corner of his eye. I can feel the ground tilt beneath me. I don't want your money, I whisper. Then take it as stewardship, Victor says softly. Make something good from it. You can walk away after if you want. But let me do this while I still can. There's a finality in his voice that frightens me. I nod, not in agreement, but in surrender. Nathan gathers the papers, his movements clinical. We'll make it official this afternoon, he says. You'll be contacted for signatures. I leave the hospital with a strange hollowness pressing behind my ribs. Outside, reporters cluster like crows near the gates, cameras slung at their sides. I keep my head down, praying they don't recognize me, but by evening, recognition finds me anyway. The headline appears online first. Reclusive millionaire names local library worker in will. My phone explodes. Texts, voicemails, missed calls. The news spreads faster than even Clara's gossip ever could. By the time Michael walks through the door that night, his face is pale. Elaine, what is this? He holds out his phone, my picture on the screen. The same one from Clara's party weeks ago, caught mid-blink, captioned with speculation. I try to explain, but the words come out tangled. He was sick. He said I reminded him that people still cared. Michael shakes his head, disbelief turning into something sharper. Do you realize how this looks? People think you've been having an affair. I haven't. He doesn't answer, just rubs his temples like he's trying to erase the image. When he finally speaks, his voice is tight. Clara called. She said, and I quote, "She's making us look small." The words hit harder than they should. I turn away, staring out the window. Across the street, a black car idles in the shadows. Lights off, engine humming. I close the curtain slowly. Somewhere, Victor Hale lies in a hospital bed, rewriting the shape of my life with a single stroke of a pen. And outside my house, the world is already watching. The first person to call after the headlines isn't Victor. It's Michael. He doesn't sound angry, just small, younger than his 25 years. Mom, he says, voice tight with worry, please be careful. I close my eyes, leaning against the counter. The morning light is thin, unforgiving. I'm always careful, I tell him, though we both know that's not true anymore. This is serious, he says. Aunt Clara's furious. She says people are calling, asking if it's true, that you're... He doesn't finish. That I'm what? I push, quietly. He exhales. That you're being kept by him. The words hang like frost between us. Michael, I say softly, I didn't ask for any of this. I know, he says, but his tone trembles. Just promise me you won't go back there. Not right now. Please. I want to promise. I want to give him the comfort he's searching for. But before I can speak, the doorbell rings. Through the glass, I see her. Clara, in a cream coat and dark sunglasses, like she's shielding herself from a scandal she created. I open the door slowly. You could have called, I say. Oh, I think this deserves a face-to-face, she replies, stepping inside uninvited. She moves through my house like it's hers, eyes flicking over the modest furniture, the half-folded laundry on the couch. Cozy, she says flatly, for now. Clara, I warn, I've had enough. She turns, removing her glasses. Her eyes are cold, sharp as glass. If you shame this family any further, Elaine, you'll lose your son. The words are so calm they almost don't register. Then the meaning lands. You think you can threaten me? I whisper. I don't need to, she says, almost smiling. People are already whispering, the wives from the club, the church board. They say you're flaunting it, the attention, the money. Michael's mortified. Do you really want him dragged down with you? My throat tightens. My son's loyalty isn't for sale. Her smile hardens. Everything has a price, even loyalty. You, of all people, should know that now. Something inside me flares, anger, grief, defiance. You think I wanted this? That I asked him for anything? I saved a man's life. That's all. Clara's expression doesn't change. And yet, somehow, you keep collecting his rewards. She leans closer, her perfume sharp and expensive. You're either naive or strategic, and I can't decide which is worse. I hold her gaze until she finally looks away. She gathers her coat, smoothing the fabric like the confrontation was just another social errand. You'd better fix this, she says, heading for the door, before the rest of us have to. The door slams behind her, leaving silence thick enough to choke on. I sit down, hands trembling. My phone vibrates on the table, a message from an unknown number, but this time, I know who it is. Ignore the noise. People reveal themselves when money enters. V. I stare at the screen, torn between relief and dread. His words feel steadying, almost protective, but there's something darker beneath them. The certainty of a man who believes he's right about everyone. I type back before I can stop myself. They're saying terrible things. I didn't want this. The reply comes instantly. You didn't choose this? I did. Let me handle it. I set the phone down slowly. Outside, the sky darkens, a storm gathering on the horizon. The air hums with that eerie stillness that always comes before thunder. I think of Michael, the way he sounded on the phone, scared for me, ashamed of me, and of Clara, standing in my doorway, wielding reputation like a blade. And then, inevitably, I think of Victor, pale, powerful, pulling strings from a hospital bed. I don't know which storm will reach me first, family or him. But as lightning flashes beyond the window, I know one thing for certain. When it hits, there won't be any shelter left. The hospital becomes my second home, Days blur into antiseptic light and the low hum of machines. Victor sleeps more now. Not the light naps from before, but deep, fragile silences that stretch too long between breaths. The nurses greet me by name. The security guard nods each time I pass. Somewhere along the way, I stopped caring what people thought. When he's awake, he insists I read to him. Something old, he says. Something that sounds like life before noise. So I bring poetry, Frost, Cummings, Dickinson, and read until my voice goes soft. He listens with his eyes closed, one hand resting on the blanket, veins pale as thread. One night, between pages, he says, "You know, you don't have to keep coming." "I know," I reply, "but you do." He smiles faintly. "That's what I admire most about you." I don't tell him it's not admiration that keeps me coming. It's guilt. Or maybe a kind of loyalty I can't explain to anyone, not even myself. His health declines faster than anyone expects. The doctors call it complications. He calls it timing. Each day he grows thinner, his humor sharper, as though he's stripping himself down to essentials. "I want you to have security," he says one evening, voice barely above a whisper. "Don't refuse it." "Victor." He lifts his hand, stopping me. "I built all this for people who forgot what it's for. I'd rather it end with someone who hasn't." His gaze finds mine, heavy, unrelenting. "Promise me you'll accept what I've given." I can't promise, so I nod instead. Outside his room, the world turns cruel. Clara, relentless as ever, has decided my downfall is her civic duty. I know because one of her friends, pretending to be kind, sends me a link late one night. The headline blazes from my phone screen like an accusation. "Widow manipulating dying millionaire. The Elaine Porter story." My stomach turns. Beneath it, grainy photos. Me entering the hospital, holding a book. Victor smiling weakly beside me. The captions twist everything. Sources close to the family claim the relationship has crossed moral lines. Unmarried widow seeks fortune through sympathy. My hands shake so badly I drop the phone. By morning, the story's everywhere. Television, gossip sites, whispers in the grocery store. Neighbors look at me differently now. Pitying, curious, some even angry, like I've stolen something from them. Michael stops answering my calls. I can't blame him. That night, I sit beside Victor's bed and can't bring myself to speak. He notices anyway. He always does. "They're saying things," he murmurs. I swallow hard. "It doesn't matter." He turns his head slightly. "It matters to you." I try to smile. "I'm fine." "You're not." His voice is faint, but his eyes are fierce. "They'll eat you alive if you let them. Listen to me. Elaine, people will always find a story that makes their own emptiness bearable. Don't let it define you." Tears burn my throat. "They're calling me a thief." "Then they've already admitted I had something worth stealing," he says, almost amused. Then softer, "Truth outlives lies." He reaches for my hand, his grip surprisingly strong despite the tremor. The machines around us beep steadily, indifferent witnesses to a moment that feels both infinite and ending. I press my other hand over his, afraid to let go. "You shouldn't have done this for me," I whisper. "I didn't do it for you," he says, closing his eyes. "I did it because of you." Something in me shatters then. All the guilt, the doubt, the noise. I let myself cry, quiet but unrestrained, until the nurse comes to check his vitals. She smiles gently, but her eyes say what I don't want to hear. He's fading. On my way out, reporters swarm the parking lot, flashes cutting through the dark like lightning. I keep my head down, pushing past the questions. "Are you in the will? Did he promise you the estate? Are you his mistress?" The words sting less than I expected. But when I reach my car and glance back toward the hospital windows, I see one light still on. His room. And even from here, I can feel it. He's not letting go yet. Not of the world. Not of me. The call comes just after sunrise. For a moment, I think it's the nurse. Another routine update. Another small reassurance that he's still holding on. But the voice isn't clinical this time. It's quiet, reverent. Ms. Porter, I'm sorry. Mr. Hale passed during the night. The words echo through the kitchen, colliding with the silence. I sit at the table, the phone still pressed to my ear, watching the first streak of gold split the horizon. He's gone. I don't remember hanging up. I just remember sitting there until the sunlight turns harsh, until the room feels too bright for grief. By noon, the world knows. The first headline hits like a punch. Victor Hale dead at 68. Leaves fortune to mysterious widow friend. The word widow burns more than it should. They've reduced everything. His heart, his brilliance, his strange, complicated kindness, to a single scandal. And me, to a headline. The photo beneath it is one the tabloids stole from somewhere. Me at the hospital, holding his hand while reading. I'd thought that moment was private. I'd been wrong about privacy for a long time now. By afternoon, the crowd has gathered outside my building. Flashes pop through the blinds, the same 3 questions shouted over and over. Were you lovers? Did you manipulate him? How much did he leave you? Neighbors watch from their windows, pretending not to. One woman from the next floor sends a casserole, but I can't decide if it's pity or curiosity that motivated her. I keep the curtains closed. Every time the phone rings, I flinch. Michael calls once, his voice tight and exhausted. Mom, I'm trying, he says. But this is bad. Clara won't stop. She's telling everyone you took advantage of him. She's lying, I whisper. I know that. But she's loud. A pause. Then softer. I defended you. At dinner last night. Dad's old friends were there. They said it's humiliating. I told them they don't know you. Michael. He clears his throat. Trying to sound brave. I'm proud of you, Mom. Just keep your head down, okay? When the call ends, I sit in the dark for a long time, listening to the camera shutters clicking outside like distant rain. Later that evening, I see Clara on TV. She's wearing her sympathy face, the one with the slightly tilted chin and perfect tear-free sorrow. The interviewer asks about Victor, about me. She sighs delicately. It's tragic, really. A good man misled by loneliness. We all hope justice is done. Justice. She makes it sound like I've committed a crime. I turn off the television, my stomach twisting. For the first time, I realize there's no version of this where I get to defend myself. The more I speak, the guiltier I'll look. That night, I can't sleep. The apartment feels too still without his voice on the phone. Without the steady certainty he carried even from a hospital bed. I keep expecting the phone to buzz with one of his short messages. Ignore them. Breathe. You did right. But the silence stays. Around midnight, I light a candle and sit by the window, watching the street below. The paparazzi have finally left, but their absence feels no kinder. I whisper, you didn't have to leave me this way. The only answer is the faint hum of the refrigerator and the flicker of the candlelight against the glass. When the phone finally rings again, I almost don't answer. But it's not a reporter this time. It's Nathan Kell, his voice steady, measured. Ms. Porter, he says, the will is being executed. Mr. Hale's final instructions were clear. You're to attend the reading tomorrow morning. My chest tightens. What happens then? He hesitates just long enough to make my pulse quicken. You'll see. It's significant. I hang up, staring at the flame until it gutters out. Outside, a storm is building again. Wind scraping against the windows, the city holding its breath. I realize that for all the chaos that's already come, the true reckoning hasn't even begun. Tomorrow, I'll learn what Victor Hale left behind, and whether what he's given me is a gift or a curse. The rain hasn't stopped since dawn. By the time I reach the law offices downtown, the sidewalks shine like mirrors, reflecting gray sky and umbrella spokes. Reporters wait near the entrance, but the guards keep them back. I push through the revolving door into air that smells of paper and polish and old power. The receptionist doesn't need my name. "They're expecting you," she says, voice lowered as if this were a funeral, which in a way, it is. Inside the conference room, the lights are dim, the blinds half drawn. I recognize nearly everyone. Clara sits at the far end, spine straight, pearls gleaming like warning lights. Beside her are two board members from Hale Industries, a pair of lawyers, and Michael, who looks like he hasn't slept in days. He offers me a small nod. It's not forgiveness, it's survival. Robert Kell stands at the head of the long oak table, papers neatly stacked, glasses low on his nose. "Thank you all for coming," he begins. "We're here to execute the final will and testament of Mr. Victor Hale." Clara interrupts before he can continue. "We're all eager to hear how our dear Victor was taken advantage of." Her voice drips sugar and venom in equal measure. Robert doesn't look up. "You'll have your clarity soon enough." The room quiets. Only the sound of rain against the windows fills the pause. Robert clears his throat. "Mr. Hale's assets total approximately $1.4 billion. A murmur moves through the group. Per his final revision, the majority, roughly 80%, is to be transferred to the Hale Foundation for Children's Literacy. Gasps, whispers. Even Clara blinks, thrown off script. I exhale for the first time all morning. Relief floods through me, shaky and unexpected. This is what I'd hoped for. Not wealth, not scandal, just the chance for the story to end quietly. Robert continues. He believed his fortune should return to the public that built it. He glances down at the next page. The remainder of his estate, including certain personal properties, is distributed as follows. The rustle of paper, a beat of silence. To Elaine Porter, he says, he leaves the Hale Beach estate, his private residence on the Massachusetts coast, along with its adjoining trust, in perpetuity. The room freezes. My heart stops with it. Clara is the first to react. "Absolutely not." Her voice slices through the air. "That property's worth tens of millions. He would never." Robert lifts a hand, calm but firm. "Mrs. Green, please." "She manipulated him," she spits. "Everyone knows it. She preyed on a sick man's loneliness and took everything." I can't speak. My throat has locked. Robert removes a slim envelope from the folder. Mr. Hale anticipated this reaction. He left a letter. He opens it carefully, his voice steady as he reads. "To those who doubt my decision, no one manipulated me. Elaine Porter gave me what money never could. Decency without agenda. When the world turned away, she stopped. She saw a man, not a name. For that, she will have the place that gave me peace." Robert looks up. It's in his handwriting. Verified. The room goes silent except for Clara's uneven breathing. She slams her hand on the table. "This is absurd. He was delirious. She used him." Michael flinches. "Aunt Clara, enough." Her eyes dart to him, disbelief flickering. "You're defending her now?" He swallows hard but nods. "She didn't want this. You all know that." I can't look at him. My hands tremble in my lap. Robert sets the letter aside and slides another envelope toward me. My name, Elaine Porter. Written in Victor's familiar, slanted script. I trace the ink with my thumb before opening it. "You once said kindness shouldn't need a reward." I agree. But sometimes, Elaine, It deserves a home. The beach house is yours. Live there. Read there. Breathe again. Don't let them rewrite who you are. The room blurs. I blink hard, but the tears come anyway. Not of greed, but of disbelief, and something dangerously close to love. Clara rises, trembling with rage. "You'll regret this," she hisses at me. "You'll drown in it." Her heels click across the floor, each step sharper than the last, until the door slams behind her. No one speaks. Robert exhales softly, gathering the remaining pages. "That concludes the reading," he says. "The estate transfer will take effect within 60 days. Ms. Porter, I'll contact you about the logistics." I nod, unable to form words. Michael lingers by the doorway. "Mom," he says quietly, "maybe he just wanted you to have somewhere safe." Somewhere safe. The irony stings. Outside, the storm hasn't eased. Reporters wait, cameras ready, the rain slicking their lenses like tears. As I step into the lobby, flashes explode through the glass, painting me in white light. Somewhere in all the noise, beneath the outrage, the envy, the headlines yet to come, I can almost hear Victor's voice again. "Don't let them rewrite who you are." I square my shoulders, step into the downpour, and whisper under the hiss of rain, "I won't." But as I walk toward the waiting cameras, a single thought cuts through the calm. The beach estate isn't just a gift. It's the next chapter of his design, and I've just inherited the beginning of something I may never escape. The world moves on faster than grief does. Within a week, Victor Hale's name starts slipping from the headlines. New scandals take his place. Another executive affair. Another political disaster. The cameras leave my street. The reporters find new prey. All that remains are the faint grooves of their tripod legs in the grass, like scars that refuse to fade. Clara isn't so lucky. The letter Robert read, the one Victor wrote in his own hand, spread like wildfire once the transcript leaked. No one manipulated me. Those 4 words cut sharper than any accusation ever could. Her social circle, so carefully curated, starts to collapse. Invitations dry up. The charity board she chaired graciously accepts her resignation. Someone posts a photo online, Clara dining alone at a restaurant she once bragged about owning a table in. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel tired. Michael visits the next weekend. He brings groceries, insists on fixing the doorbell that's been broken since the reporters left. He moves differently now, less defensive, more deliberate. We sit at the kitchen table, 2 cups of tea between us. The silence is gentle for once. He finally says, "I read the letter." I nod, unsure what to expect. "You did nothing wrong," he adds quietly. "I'm sorry I doubted you." The apology lands soft but deep. I reach for his hand. "You were protecting what you knew. That's what family does." He smiles, but there's sadness behind it. "He really loved you, didn't he?" "Maybe not love," I say. "But he understood me, and that's rarer." Outside, the world feels muted. No shouting, no flashes, just the slow hum of life resuming. Over the next few weeks, the whispers fade. Neighbors who once crossed the street to avoid me now stop to chat again. At the grocery store, the cashier, the same woman who once glanced at me like I'd stolen something, hands me my change and says, "He chose well." It's a small sentence, but it feels enormous. Robert calls periodically about the logistics. His tone is always professional, but there's warmth there now. The kind reserved for people who've survived the same storm. "The beach estate is ready when you are," he tells me. "It's quiet out there. You'll like it." And so, on a windless morning in late March, I drive north. The roads are empty, the air crisp with salt. When the ocean finally appears, it's exactly as Victor described it once, endless and unknowable, like forgiveness itself. The house stands at the edge of the dunes, pale stone and glass, weathered by time but still defiant against the horizon. The moment I step inside, everything smells faintly of cedar and sea air. There's a stillness here, a kind of hush that feels deliberate. His books line the shelves. His records sit stacked by the turntable. I run my fingers along the spines, tracing his life in the titles he kept close. In the corner of the main room, a single chair faces the water. A folded blanket rests on its arm, the fabric worn smooth. I sit, the ocean framed in the wide window before me. The waves move in slow rhythm, patient and indifferent. For the first time in months, no one is watching. I can almost hear him. That low, measured voice, half amused, half sincere. Live there, read there, breathe again. I whisper into the quiet. I'm trying. The tide answers with a long, even sigh. For the first time in years, I don't feel like an accessory to someone else's story. Not a wife defined by loss, not a widow defended by letters. Just me, seen. Outside, the last traces of winter mist roll off the water. Sunlight breaks through, thin at first, then steady. It paints the house in gold, and for a fleeting moment I could swear I see a figure by the shore. A man watching, smiling faintly, the wind tugging at his coat. I blink, and he's gone. But the peace stays. And in that quiet, I finally understand what Victor meant. That sometimes kindness doesn't need reward. It just needs a place to rest. The months after everything settle like sand after a storm. Slow, uneven, but steady. Spring folds into summer, and I find a rhythm again. I split my time between the small library in town and the beach house Victor left behind. During the week, I shelve books, help children find stories that fit their dreams, and lose myself in the quiet shuffle of paper and whispers. On weekends, I drive north, the ocean waiting like an old friend. The house no longer feels haunted by memory. It feels inhabited by purpose. I started inviting people there. Not the kind Clara would have approved of, but the kind Victor would have understood. Retired teachers, local kids who need a place to study, neighbors who bring pie and leave with borrowed books. The living room, once sterile and immaculate, now smells of coffee and salt. The record player spins again, though half the time it wobbles through a scratch in the vinyl. I let it. Imperfection suits this place. I never expected community to bloom here, but it does. Quietly, insistently. The beach estate, once a symbol of scandal, has become something ordinary and beautiful. It belongs to more than just me now. Maybe that's what he wanted all along. Sometimes, when I drive into town, I still see Clara's name in passing. A whispered story over coffee. A face in the society column's back pages. Her expression in those photos is brittle, her smile rehearsed. She's still fighting for an audience that stopped listening months ago. The world forgot her the same way it forgot the gossip. Quickly, efficiently. I don't wish her harm. I just wish her peace, though I doubt she'll ever make room for it. Michael visits every other weekend. He brings his fiancée now, a kind woman named Serena, who works with him at the university. They walk the shore together while I cook, and when they come back, their shoes are full of sand and laughter. Our conversations have grown lighter. We talk about books, about the world, about how people rebuild themselves when the worst has already happened. He teases me about the Elaine Porter book club that's accidentally formed at the beach house. "You're turning it into a sanctuary," he said last time he was here. I smiled. "It already was one. I'm just sharing it." After they leave, the silence feels different now. Not lonely, just full. There's a portrait of Victor that Robert delivered after the estate was finalized. It hangs by the window that faces the sea. Not grand, not imposing. Just him, Mid-laugh, his eyes caught in motion. Whoever painted it must have known the softness he hid from the world. At night, I sit beneath it with a cup of tea and talk to him like I used to when he was still on the other end of a phone line. "You gave me more than a house," I whisper one evening, the tide whispering in response beyond the glass. "You gave me back myself." The waves crash steady, endless, the same rhythm that carried me from panic to peace. Sometimes I still think of that day on the highway, the broken car, the stranger waving for help, the choice that split my life in two. If I'd driven past, I'd still be living small, apologizing for taking up space in a world built by people like Clara. But I didn't. I stopped. And that decision, that heartbeat of compassion, somehow changed everything. When I stand on the porch now, the wind tangles my hair and the salt air stings my eyes, and I feel alive in a way I haven't since before Robert died. Not young, not new, just present. And grateful. The sun dips low over the horizon, setting the water on fire. Seagulls skim the waves, and the first stars stretch awake. I close my eyes, listening to the pulse of the ocean and the slow, patient beat of my own heart. I was late to a party that night, I say softly, a smile breaking through, but I was right on time for the moment that changed everything. The wind carries the words out to sea, and for a breathless second I imagine they reach him. Somewhere beyond the horizon, I hope he's smiling back.